He is known for his adventurous personality and helped bolster his music persona.
Can you believe how some people really go all out to push past their fears and what seems sensible? They take on huge risks, from climbing really high places to making jumps that could be deadly. It's like they're always chasing that next big thrill. So let's jump right into the tales of the 10 times people went a bit too far with their risky jumps and what happened to them as a result. 10. Broke world's record but couldn't survive. The world of free diving is a unique underwater journey where divers go deep without any breathing gear. It's like climbing a mountain without ropes but underwater, making it both beautiful and risky. ABC News shared a shocking fact. About 2% of free divers never make it back to the surface. That's about 100 out of every 5,000 divers. One of the big names in this daring sport was Francisco Pipin Ferreras, well known for his deep dives on just one breath. But his story takes a sad turn with the loss of his wife, Audrey Mestre. She was a star free diver too, and she was trying to break the no limits diving record by going down 531.5 feet deep into the ocean. To put Audrey's challenge into perspective, it was like scaling a 56-story building without pausing for air. Her attempt to break the record captured the attention of the whole free-diving world. She managed to dive down smoothly, but a problem occurred on her way back up. According to the Miami Herald, her equipment failed. A key air tank, which was supposed to fill a balloon to bring her quickly back to the surface, didn't have enough air, trapping Audrey below. In her memory, the International Association of Free Divers honored her for a practice dive that nearly broke the record. After Audrey's tragic accident, which the Dominican authorities called an accident, there were rumors of carelessness pointed at Ferreras. Heartbroken, Ferreras promised to quit free diving after one last dive in honor of Audrey. He then shifted his focus to photography and promoting the sport, though he hinted at making a comeback in 2013 and again in 2017. Now, I know some of us might think holding our breath underwater and seeing who can last the longest isn't a big deal, but I'd really urge you to think twice if you're not trained. And even if you are, diving as deep as 530 feet is seriously risky, or at the very least, make sure your equipment is in top shape before you dive. Or maybe, just to be safe, steer clear of it altogether. 9. James Hickey jumped from Idaho Bridge. So here's a tale from the edge of extreme sports, where the thrill of speed and the rush of dropping from heights reigns supreme. There's this spot called the Perrine Memorial Bridge, a big draw for those who love to push their limits. Not long ago, something happened there that got everyone talking about how thin the line is between being bold and finding trouble. Meet James E. Hickey, a 73-year-old guy from Claremont, California, who wasn't afraid to take risks. He went to Twin Falls, Idaho, with a wild idea to set his parachute on fire before jumping over the Snake River, which is about 500 feet down. The scene was as shocking as it was scary. There's a video of James stepping off the bridge enveloped in flames, looking like a fireball against the calm river below. He planned to let go of the fiery parachute and open a second one. Sean Chumer, an expert in these stunts, said James had done this successfully while skydiving before, proving he knew his stuff. And timing means you can't afford to make mistakes. The Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office reported that the parachute opened too late. Sadly, James died from the impact, a tough reminder of the dangers that come with base jumping. Base stands for building, antenna, span, and earth, the places from which jumpers dive. The Perrine Bridge is one of the few spots where jumpers don't need a permit, making it a popular place for this sport all year round. After this event and another incident where Carla-Jan Sigil got stuck on the bridge, the community is thinking hard about the risks they take. Each jump is a gamble, showing just how fine the line is between pulling off something amazing and facing serious consequences. But, sometimes the idea of trying something new feels exciting. However, setting your parachute on fire or doing something extreme should probably be off the table. Not that I'm scared of heights or anything. Even on a roller coaster, I sometimes close my eyes to avoid thinking about falling. So lighting up a parachute? That's a definite no for me. What about you? What do you think? 8. Human Cannonball. How about we talk about one of the most amazing acts you'll see in circuses and stunt shows, the Human Cannonball. Going back to 1872, this spectacle has been wowing audiences by launching people from a cannon across the sky. It's a mix of danger and excitement that has made these performers legends. Take Matt Cranch's story, for example. He went from being a mechanic to a stunt performer, joining the ranks of Daredevils at Scott May's Daredevil stunt show. Matt was supposed to be shot 40 feet up in the air in Kent, England, in front of a big crowd. However, the thrill of stunts can quickly turn risky. In 2011, during his performance, the safety net that was supposed to catch him failed, and Matt tragically fell, leading to his death.
That's gonna 2, 1, fire!
The investigation found a big mistake. The safety net's quick release wasn't set right. The accident led to a court case, and the organizer was fined £100,000. Yet, no amount of money could make up for the loss of Matt's life. Matt had only tried the stunt of being shot out of a cannon 5 times before. It's really sad and kind of scary to think about how fast things went wrong. Even though he had practiced a bit, it's a strong warning about the risks these performers take on. I would definitely think twice and advise anyone I know against including such risky acts in their shows, because things can get dangerous very fast. Even with what happened to Matt, the act of flying through the air like a human cannonball hasn't stopped. It still attracts a lot of people, amazes them, and reminds us of the huge risks these entertainers take to go beyond boundaries and entertain us. 7. Limar in a steamer. We're diving into a story that mixes deep spiritual beliefs with a heartbreaking end. There was a man named Limar, known as Black Dog, from a small coastal village in Malaysia. He was famous for his unique spiritual practice, which many found both fascinating and a bit worrying. Limar called himself a magic man, someone deeply dedicated to his spiritual path, doing things most of us can't even imagine. His main ritual involved sitting in a giant wok, similar to those used for cooking, but for him, it was a way to clean both his body and spirit. He'd sit there in a meditative pose while a lid covered him and a fire was lit underneath. The idea was to use the steam as a way to purify himself, an extreme test of faith and physical endurance. Limar wasn't new to this. He had done it many times, even staying in that steamy environment for up to 75 minutes. Along with him in the wok, there'd be food like rice and sweet corn, which cooked alongside him, symbolizing a transformation that they hoped to achieve together. One day, after his usual light meal and chatting with his followers, something went terribly wrong. About 30 minutes into the ritual, people heard desperate knocking from inside the wok. By the time they got the lid off, Limar was unconscious, and despite their efforts to save him, he couldn't be revived. It was a tragic shock. He died from severe burns and a heart attack. Limar's death during this spiritual ceremony left everyone stunned and saddened. It sparked a lot of talk about how far one should go in their faith and the limits of the human body. Despite years of his family worrying over his risky practices, Limar had been committed to his path. His story even got spiritual leaders talking. The head of the Federation of Taoist Associations of Malaysia pointed out that what Limar did was more like a magic trick than a part of their religious practices. He warned about the dangers of such extreme acts, highlighting the fine line between faith and the physical world. So, if you're watching or listening, please don't try anything like this, whether at home or anywhere else. Putting yourself in harm's way isn't a path to purification. It can have severe consequences that might not give you a second chance. Not every risky move has a positive outcome. 6. Dean Potter and Graham Hunt base jumping. Dean Potter was someone who really stood out in the world of extreme sports. This guy was famous for his climbing and jumping off really high places. He did things in Yosemite National Park that most of us can only dream of, where the cliffs are super tall and only the bravest dare to go. Dean was special because he climbed without ropes or safety gear, just using his hands and feet. He climbed Half Dome, a giant rock that's over 4,800 feet tall, with just his skills and bravery. That place was like his playground, where he showed the world what he was made of with each climb. But climbing wasn't his only love. Dean also had a thing for breaking rules, living outdoors under the stars, and climbing places he wasn't supposed to, like the Delicate Arch. Some people didn't like that, but it was his way of chasing freedom. Then there's base jumping. jumping off high places with a parachute or wingsuit. Dean and his friend Graham Hunt were all about that, pushing the limits of what's possible. They once jumped from Taft Point, a spot that's perfect for such stunts. Sadly, their last jump there ended in tragedy, crashing on the rough terrain below. It was a grim reminder of the dangers they faced, described by a park chief as if they had fallen on a dinosaur's spiky back. Dean knew the risks, but kept pushing the envelope. His legacy is complicated, marked by incredible achievements and debates over his actions. After his death, the climbing community felt a deep loss, but also recognized the inherent dangers of constantly seeking thrills. Dean Potter's life makes us think about the thin line between passion and danger. Remembering Dean, we're inspired by the human spirit's drive to explore and take risks, despite knowing the dangers. 5. Todd Green. Is there a sport out there that's all about daring to go further and testing what's possible? That would be wing walking. It's where people stand on the wings of an airplane while it's flying, taking thrill-seeking to a whole new level. This sport is not just for anyone looking for a thrill, it's for those who chase after the extraordinary. Todd Green was a name that stood out in this daring world. He was known for his amazing skills in the air, turning his stunts into something like a dance above the clouds. People would watch, amazed by what he could do. But the danger of such stunts was made very clear in 2011 at an air show near Detroit, Michigan. One afternoon, with everyone watching, Todd tried to move from an airplane to a helicopter, something he had done many times. But this time, something went wrong, and he fell about 200 feet. The crowd, thinking it was all part of the show, soon realized it was a real and terrible accident. Emergency crews rushed to help Todd, taking him to the hospital, but his injuries were too severe. This tragic event left everyone, including those watching, deeply affected. Jennifer Bradley, who was there with her sons, described how they all prayed for Todd, showing how quickly joy can turn to sorrow. Todd wasn't just any performer, he followed in his father's footsteps, Eddie the Grip Green. With over 25 years in the game, Todd's love for flying was undeniable, attracting people from all over to see him. Thinking back on it now, it's just heartbreaking. Seeing a man with so much experience in his craft, entertaining everyone one moment and the next, he's gone. Such a tragedy indeed. I just hope we can all take a moment to reconsider the risks involved in these kinds of endeavors. 4. The Rope Challenge. There's this thing about daring stunts and wild adventures that has really turned things up a notch on the internet. Well, there's this story I came across about this young guy from Utah, Kyle Lee Stocking, that really sheds light on how risky it can get trying to be a daredevil, you know? Kyle, only 22, was drawn to the breathtaking Corona Arch near Moab by a video he saw online. It was called The World's Largest Rope Swing, and it looked amazing. With climbing ropes and a huge dose of courage, he planned to swing under the 110-foot arch. Sadly, a mistake in measuring the rope length ended his adventure too soon, adding a somber note to the stories of people taking internet challenges too far. This isn't a one-off thing. It's part of a bigger trend where people try to copy dangerous stunts they see online. Like the world's largest rope swing, these videos get millions of hits and inspire folks to take risks. Another sad story is about a 15-year-old named David Nuno who died trying something dangerous he found online called the choking game. The push for internet fame has led to all kinds of risky moves, from jumping out of moving cars to swallowing cinnamon on a dare, landing both teens and adults in the emergency room. Dr. Thomas Abramo from Vanderbilt University points out how the internet makes these dangerous ideas spread like wildfire, causing a spike in stunt-related injuries. Social media is where a lot of these adventurous videos end up, but keeping the platform safe is a huge challenge. They try to take down videos that encourage risky behavior, but with 72 hours of video uploaded every minute, they rely on users to report anything too dangerous. I get it, we all want to stay in the loop, especially when new challenges surface. But hey, let's be careful how we dive into these challenges. Not everything we see on social media is legit. Some videos might be edited or even fake. So safety first, okay? 3. The unexpected fall. In today's world, social media is everywhere. People are always posting photos and videos, trying to get noticed, but standing out is really tough. Amid all the trendy dances and challenges, there was Gigi Wu. She found a special way to grab attention worldwide. People called her the Bikini Climber. At 36, this lady from Taiwan did something no one else thought of. She mixed her love for climbing mountains with fashion in a way that was totally new. Gigi's approach wasn't just for show. She had a lot of respect and courage when she climbed. She dressed for the cold mountain weather, but showed her famous bikini look only at the top. This mix of serious climbing and fun showing off got her lots of likes and fans. She believed the mountains were for everyone. This fresh and brave idea encouraged others to explore nature too, but always safely. Gigi knew her limits and would turn back if a climb seemed too risky. This showed she really cared about being safe while adventuring, but the mountains can be very unforgiving. On a climb in Yushan National Park, Taiwan, Gigi had a bad fall. Even though she was hurt, she called for help. It gave her a slim chance, but bad weather made the rescue very difficult. By the time help could get to her, it was too late. Gigi, who brought together mountains and fashion in such a new way, didn't survive the cold. Gigi's story ended on January 21, 2019, but she left behind more than just her social media fame. Her story is about following your passion, being creative, and the sheer force of nature. 2. Rappers wing walking gone wrong. People have always been drawn to doing bold things that push the envelope, trying stuff that seems almost impossible. Wing walking is one of those wild stunts that has a long history, but still gets hearts racing today. Let's talk about John James, a rapper who decided to mix his music with high-flying stunts to make his music video unforgettable. John wasn't just any performer, he was a musician who stepped into the world of daring aerial feats. He trained for it, but as we know, training can only take you so far when you're dealing with the unpredictability of stunts. In Canada, John took his music video project up a notch by planning to walk on the wing of a Cessna plane. He wanted to show off his musical skills and his bravery as a stuntman. While on the wing, John moved too much, which unbalanced the plane. This mistake had immediate and severe consequences. The plane started spinning out of control because of the shift in weight. John held on as long as he could, showing his determination. Unfortunately, by the time he let go, it was too late for his parachute to save him. Amazingly, the pilot managed to regain control of the plane and landed it safely, but John was the tragic exception, reminding us all of the risks involved in such stunts. I didn't know John personally, but you gotta admit, it takes some serious guts and creativity to want to do something like wing walking in a music video. But flying high up in the sky has its own way of telling us not to be too comfortable, you know? Like, we can't just take everything we do on the ground and expect it to work up there. And if you're thinking about pulling off some wild stunts to show off your creativity, just remember to be careful, all right? 1. Sailendra Nath Roy dies in India Ponytail Stunt. In the amazing world of setting records and doing things that amaze everyone, Sailendra Nath Roy really made a name for himself. But it wasn't because he was the fastest runner or the strongest lifter. No, Roy was famous for the incredible things he could do with his hair. He turned his hair into a sign of strength, doing things that would leave you wide-eyed, like pulling a train with his ponytail, all thanks to some mustard oil and a lot of guts. One of his biggest moments was when he set the Guinness World Record for traveling the farthest distance on a zip line using just his hair. This stunt made him well known and celebrated in the world of Daredevils, but at the same time, he was living a normal life as a police department driver. This shows that even those who seek thrills have their everyday sides. However, taking risks like these always comes with dangers. At 48, Roy took on a challenge that would sadly be his last. He tried to cross the Teesta River on a zip line 600 feet across and 70 feet up near the town of Siliguri. It was meant to be the highlight of his career. Despite being in good shape and confident in his hair's strength, things didn't go as planned. Halfway across, Roy got stuck. People could see him struggling and hear his calls for help, but no one was ready to rescue him quickly. This final stunt, which he had said would be his last, ended in tragedy when he suffered a massive heart attack after 30 minutes of struggle. So, I'm really keen to know what you think about these folks who put it all on the line for those amazing stunts. I'm seriously interested in your take on these bold moves. And we should stay tuned, because who knows what kind of incredible stunt stories we'll come across next as we dive more into the lives of these extreme adventurers and their astonishing acts.